I like this ball for several reasons. Number one, just fun to play with. Everybody likes the stress ball. Everybody likes playing with it, bouncing up and down. But there's actually a message that we can learn from it, right? Anything that happens to that ball is always going to take it with a grain of salt and adjust accordingly. It will always bounce up when life throws it down. When anything happens, it doesn't matter what kind of force I throw it into, it's always going to bounce back up. And it kind of reminds me of my story, right? It started about 4 years ago when I was trying to join the Army. I started about 210, 215 pounds. Didn't really know how to exercise, but I just knew ever since I was a little boy and a little kid that I wanted to join the Army. All the men in my family have always joined the Army, have always served in the military in some form. And I wanted to continue that legacy. I wanted my last name to mean something, right? So I started going to the recruiting station, started talking to the recruiter, Sergeant Peters, if you remember that. You can leave something down below. But what really happened was that I started taking advice from him and started doing some runs, some walk runs, try to get down to passing for my PT test in the Army. Started doing push-ups in my room, thinking I was all big and bad. Didn't really know nutrition, right? Didn't really know anything about that. Just kind of taking advice from my recruiter, trying to figure something out because I was still a senior in high school trying to figure everything out. But being dumb and God knowing what you're ready for, I was dumb and failed the drug test in the Army full at MEPS. So that pushed my enlistment back 6 months. So after the 6 months, I was able to reapply and re-talk to my recruiter, same one, and he actually helped me get into the Army 6 months later. But in that 6 months, I ended up gaining the weight back. I had to jump back up and everything, right? But so I go to basic training, start doing my runs, started sucking at my run, ran a 9-minute 1 mile sucking. That was my absolute hardest, that was my absolute best that I could ever give. Couldn't run any faster if I had tried. And that was 1 mile. And in the Army we have to run 2 in 16 minutes, 15:54 for my age group. But so I got through basic training, lost some weight, graduated basic training, got to my unit, and then kind of maintained for the next year and a half or so. I wasn't really a PT stud. I had about a 240, 250 PT score. If anyone's in the Army, they know that's not really that great. I mean, it's not bad either, but it's not anything rock stellar or anything like that. Did that for about a year and a half and just kind of hated PT, didn't run, hated getting up, didn't want to do anything. That coasted for about a year and a half, like I said, until I sprained my ankle. We were in a live field environment and I rolled my ankle and snapped it. Well, not snapped, but it was a bad sprain. And then I started bullshitting with it and didn't exercise at all because of that. And then gained the weight back. Go figure. So I actually got put on gate guard, which is away from my unit. So I wasn't doing my normal daily job that I went to basic training for. I was doing the security guard role for the installation. But because I was on that schedule, I actually started being able to go and exercise on my own. So I started walking. Some of the dudes were trying to get into the gym, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Until the PT test came up, and then the run happened. So the run happened, right? The run refers to the PT test. The PT test itself, it consists of 3 events: the push-ups, the sit-ups, and then the run. The first 2 were perfectly fine. I think I scored about like a 70 in each event. For me, that was about average, about normal. I didn't really feel it too much. It wasn't really that much of a cardio exercise. But then the run happened. I could already feel myself shaking. I could feel the fear coming up in my veins. but lined up anyway because I had to. So I'm lined up right here. I got the administrator over here. I got another dude that's taking a PT test over here. He blows the whistle, so I take off. I take off like I normally do. But I hadn't done PT in 3-4 months. It was a sprained ankle, and then, yeah, bullshitting. But, so I take off, but I hadn't really kept up, and my habits caught up to me. I couldn't breathe. I was dying, y'all. I was dying. My chest started caving in, my legs started feeling weak, and then the thoughts started creeping in. Like, you can't make it, you can't do it, you're weak, just stop, give in. Over and over and over and over again, I heard these thoughts, I heard these going through my head as I kept running. Eventually, I quit. I gave in to the voices. I started walked for maybe 100 meters, and then my buddy, who was also running, caught up to me and passed me and said, "Come on, man, keep going." So I pushed down farther than I could even remember. I don't know how I did it, but by some miracle, I started running again. Couldn't hold it. So started walking again. And then he turns around, looks at me, come on man, keep going. So I dig down, push again. So I started on this walk-run thing, but these voices still pushing me down, still tearing me down, and I really couldn't hold it. Until I could finally see the finish line. That's when I kind of pushed even harder, and eventually by some miracle, crossed the finish line. And then I heard the time. I crossed the line in just under 18 minutes, gassed. Like, I literally could not have run it faster if I tried. If you had put a gun to my head and tried to make me run faster, I couldn't do it. I laid in that grass for the next 3 minutes, just trying to catch my breath, trying to do anything that would relieve this pain. And that's when I remember telling myself that something has to change. Something has to change. So that run destroyed me. It killed me. But then the second blow happened the very next day. So we had height and weight. So for height and weight, it's the Army's way of saying, hey, you're fat, fix it. But with the way I had always been training and been in my experience with exercise, I had never been lean. So I was very familiar with height and weight. I was very familiar with the tape test. The tape test is when you actually get on the scale and then they see if your weight is higher than what was allotted for your matrix for your height. I was always over that, always. So they get out the tape measure and I failed. I came in at 24% body fat, as well as 209 pounds. I gained the weight back, y'all. I fucking gained the weight back. So I remember that saying that, hey, there's either two roads you can take. Either you can say fuck it and get out the Army and fail your next PT test and actually get chaptered out the Army and live with that, or you can fix it and start going to the gym. So I had to do a real gut check, real grit test, and ended up going to the gym the next day. Didn't know a damn thing about the gym. I knew enough about pre-workout that I went and bought some at GNC. That's literally the only thing I got. And then so I take my pre-workout right outside the gym. Tastes like it exploded in my mouth. I got it all over my chest. I almost choked on it for one because I just threw it in my mouth. That's how I'd seen everybody doing it. And I'm like, man, is this really what I'm doing? But still got out of the car, still walked inside the gym. Felt out of place. I wanted to turn around and leave and run away, but I didn't. So I defaulted to what I knew, which was bench press. Everybody knows bench press. Did a couple of sets, threw on 45s, thinking I'm all big and bad. Couldn't do it. Couldn't hold the weight on my shoulders and everything. I think I did like 2 sets with 25s on there, and then got up and then did cardio. Yeah, I went and hit the treadmill and then did that for like 10-15 minutes and then left. felt completely discouraged, felt completely out of place, didn't know what I was doing. I actually had to have a sit down heart to heart with myself again that night. But ended up going back the next day and did the same thing. The bench press, didn't go to 45s on this time. Stuck with the 25s and then did some more cardio, but this time it was a little bit more structured. However, with the treadmill, I actually spent that 10-15 minutes watching the gym. The way that the gym was set up was that the treadmills were in the back with all the weights in the front, so that I could actually see the whole gym from my treadmill. So I sat there and watched it, what everybody was doing, and then I'll take notes and write down what I was seeing, and then I'll go to YouTube and then say, how do I do this exercise? And then I started learning, started building up and figuring everything out. It was a struggle every single day. And some days were better than others, some days were worse than others, some days I was feeling all good, feeling all motivated to get in the gym. But not every day is gonna feel like that. And I had to figure that out myself. And then eventually I started building up confidence and started building up what I could do, what I knew. And then eventually started getting into it and started getting into a drive and started getting into a groove. And then the next blow hit. So at one point I was engaged. About 2 months into the gym, we started running into relationship issues. And then things started going downhill. And it was a bad time in my life. Didn't really hit the gym as much as I could have or should have. And then eventually about 2 months after that, 2-3 months after that, we eventually broke up. And I was devastated. I was broken. I couldn't do anything for 2 weeks. I didn't talk to anybody, didn't look at my phone. Hell, I kept my phone on off so that I wouldn't get any text from her, so that I wouldn't be tempted to look at my phone to see what she said. After about a month of that, I said, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna do something about it, right? Well, there was actually a quote that I saw. It was, I forget who it was, but it was, do squats and make them forget and make them cry about not having that ass anymore. So that's what I did. I went and took my ass to the gym and did squats. I did leg day. And that was the moment that actually it shifted. It shifted from losing weight and getting into shape for the Army into something personal, and then into something that I was giving my confidence and getting my life back. I was really taking my life back, and the gym gave me my control back. Started doing that, started learning, started actually getting into it because I actually had a why now. I actually had something to fight for, and that was myself. It was my damn self. It said no one was gonna fight for me if I wasn't gonna do it. So I started learning, started getting on YouTube, started watching YouTube videos over and over again, learning nutrition, learning diet, learning exercise, learning programming, learning nutrition, like I said. And YouTube is a really great education source. Check it out. But eventually all of this, and then I took this information and started going to the gym and started actually building myself. I was seeing results and everything. Started getting into a gym buddy, and that's when I actually met one of my best friends, Tony. We call him Muffin, or I call him Muffin in the friend group. But me and him started going to the gym together, and we kept each other accountable. We started training, doing heavier, getting into it, and then I go back to my unit. And after gate guard, I was terrified of that PT test. That PT test had me on edge for the next week and a half, when my squad leader or my boss, my manager, had told me that there was one coming up. But because this is the Army and you do what you're told, I showed up for it, getting ready for the run. The first two events were actually really good. Ended up maxing my push-ups, maxing my sit-ups, and then those fellows feeling very scared about the run. still very scared about the run. I could feel the fear boiling up in my veins, and I could feel those voices creeping back in and building back into my head, telling me, your training was terrible. You're not going to pass. You're not going to get this, that, and everything. Tearing me down, even before I started the run, man. But like I said, I didn't have a choice, so I finished it. So I get up on the line. I got my other buddies doing the run as well, doing their PT test. The grader's over here. He says go, blows the whistle, and I take off. I take off, and I hear those voices getting louder and louder and louder, and I just audibly yelled, "Fuck you!" I audibly yelled, "Fuck you!" and took off. I was yelling at the world, the universe, myself, my voice. I don't know, but in the moment, that's just what I felt, and I took off. I could feel everything getting weak. I could feel everything getting sore, and I just kept hearing those voices, and I kept saying, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you," over and over again in my head. Just one step forward and one foot in front of the other. And by some miracle, I passed the finish line, and I couldn't hear the grader. He was calling out the times, but I wasn't paying any attention to him. All I was focused on was getting in front of that line. I fell in front of the grass like the last one, and felt like a failure. Felt like I couldn't do anything. And then I heard the time. He told me I ran it in 13:06. I shaved almost 5 minutes off my run in 6 months. That was the solidifying effect that I made it. All the hard work had paid off. All the bottom and the struggles and the valleys that I had gone through, I made it. I finally realized that it was possible and that it was something to be achieved of. And then I felt like if I could do that, why not keep going? You know what I'm saying? So I kept going and getting better. I started getting into jiu-jitsu and martial arts and CrossFit, and started getting into bodybuilding, started learning all these different facets and different disciplines of fitness. And the world just opened up for me, honestly. As soon as I started getting into the fitness and fitness exercise, my career blew up. I started last year, 2019. I started in 2019, or ended 2019 as a sergeant, and then I started 2019 as a specialist. So 1 year, and I promoted from specialist to an NCO, and I completely attribute that to my fitness, to be able to the mindset, to all the lessons that I learned from the fitness. And so I kept going. I eventually even started completing my degrees. I finished 2 degrees on the Army dime, completely paid for, didn't pay a penny for them, and finished my 2 associate's degrees. And now I'm also eligible for the GI Bill, so I'm getting ready to transfer out or transition out of the military and go to school, be a full-time student, and get my bachelor's degree while being a personal trainer. But really, the whole thing was that drive and that motivation. That's what really sticks to me, that this fitness thing is really something. It's a mindset that teaches you to grow. Because if you can't be successful for yourself, how are you going to be successful in the world and showing the world what you're made of if you can't do it for yourself? Ain't nobody going to fight for you. Ain't nobody going to give you what you want in life. You have to go out and take it and fight for your damn self. But I want to help you guys to achieve that. But at that same point, you can only take a horse to water. You can't force it to drink. You can't do it. So you're gonna have to want it. You're gonna have to build for it. And let's get it, y'all.